one of the things that I thought was funny the first time I saw it, I was like, well, it's like kids in school, different neighborhoods, they different cultures. But what I was saying was like, like the kids with autism, the different types of Asperger's, they would be with like those kids. Then kids with Down syndrome, like they would all be together. And then like the kids who like both had, were missing the limb would be with, and I thought it was cool, right? I thought that was like the most purest form of just like, social separation. Until I heard this like, what I was diligent retarded, this is what the I was talking about. I don't know the name for it, they're the passport girl. The only difference between these and the who go to Dubai when they get washed up is they don't want to get on.
It's such a great close for me too, because my last question for you, I'm very obsessed with representation and relationship styles and labels. And labels not because I want to confine people to something, but because I want people to know that there's tons of options. And labels create community. They create a sense of belonging. And then also it gives us a framework of someone else to point to, which even then you wouldn't subscribe to the ritual of panic. And so there's a label that's kind of coming up for where you're at that is becoming increasingly more common. And I mentioned this too, like I am very much in the algorithm of seeing all of the think pieces and the Washington Post pieces around like, do we need men anymore? I need my man. He's the best. That's my lover. That's my light. But I know so many incredible women who are adopting this and feeling this and having a love life and being super proud of themselves. And maybe they're not necessarily asexual or closed off to the idea, but they're also not searching for it. And that sense of dignity being kind of the grounding principle that informs whether or not they even allow something to take up their time because they have many other things that they love that their time is filled with. What do you think we say? Like, what is that? What is this new form of relationships that is coming about? And how would you identify where you're at right now?
That's interesting. I was just in Tulum the other day meaning like a few weeks ago. And I found myself in this huge community of expats, women of color who have basically left the US and their primary residence is Tulum.
Love that for them.
Oh, child, their lives are lit. Okay. Like one of my girlfriends, Tamiko, she rolls around on a pink ATV. Like that's her primary source of transportation. And, it's just like they've curated the lives that they want for themselves. They were in the rat race here in America. They had the big houses, fancy cars, marriage, kids, the whole nine. And they were like, this is not fulfilling. This ain't it. And they just basically started the slow progression towards this being their lives. And now they're all there. And I was just like, I want to come. I got to figure this out, how I can be here regularly. And I just thought it was like so incredible to just watch, and I also had a retreat in Mexico back in September. And just to watch these women who most of them were strangers to each other, just kind of come together. My God, when women get together, we can change weather systems. We're very powerful. That's what they're scared of. And I think that what's happening is collectively, women are starting to truly understand what community actually feels like. Not just your friend group, not just your social circle. What community actually means for us, And you see it happening where women are like creating like tiny home communities for each other. Taking care of each other, like, palliative care and that sort of thing. Like, I don't know what the name is, but I just know that the focus has shifted and it's the decentering of men. That's really what it is on a large scale. Women have decentered men and really started to focus and enjoy their lives without feeling like there's a penance for it, or you're going to get the lonely cat lady label shit. Don't threaten me with a good time. I want a house full of fucking cats.
Or emus.
You know what I mean? But I think that women are really leaning into decentering men and realizing their worlds don't fall apart, that actually they become pretty fantastic. Men might actually be the accessory and not the centerpiece. I think that we're collectively kind of discovering that.
She knows she a goddamn lot.
Like True said, she said a whole bunch of nothing.
These women didn't curate shit.
So now that y'all
can I just say for themselves, they curated the only lives they could have because they can't keep a man. You're not decentering, man. You're accepting the fact that the men you want don't want you. So let me go be a passport sister and hang out with a bunch of other bitches just like you. That's not. They could have did that shit down the street. They had to go to Mexico for that. I mean, the dollar goes further, so I mean, I guess that helps. But what is she talking about?
But like, also, I want to
say that men are the accessory and not the prize. The only women who think like this are the ones that can't get men. The only women who think like this. You never hear wifely women having these conversations. You never hear women that we respect as wifely. We never hear women that we respect as just being classy ladies. It's only these like habitual single dick collectors that have these types of thoughts about men.
Hey, you know what the equivalent of this would be? If I said, hey, hold on. You know what the equivalent of this would be? If I was like, I had a wife and kids. And I just decided I ain't like that shit no more. So I decided to move to Mexico and become an X-Man.
Yeah. No, I feel like
look at the message that sends though.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Look at the message that it says.
I'm not happy, so I'm about to be single now. The problem is not the marriage, it's not the kids, it's that you made the wrong choices. You didn't live your life the way you were supposed to and reach self-fulfillment. That's why I said you in a relationship, trying to sex and work your way through it, thinking everything was going to be there, and placing that man at a highest level of responsibility, like it was his job to make you happy and fulfill you. You weren't already fulfilled. You weren't fulfilled in a relationship. That means you weren't going to be fulfilled when you were pregnant. That means you weren't going to be fulfilled when you got the kids. You already weren't where you wanted to be. And you thought the relationship and a man was going to do that. So now all of a sudden, you have this negative connotation in association with relationships, one of the most fulfilling experiences that we can have because you made a mistake. No, own it. You made a mistake. You messed up, but you don't want to do that. Now you want to go to Mexico and call yourself a passport sis and ride RVs and do all this. It's fine that you want to travel and explore, but don't never excuse the fact that you were a whore. You messed up. You made mistakes. And now you want to take a break. Oh, okay, cool, sis. We get it.
These women went to Mexico and became fucking rough.
Don't put the bad connotation on relationships.
It sounds so ridiculous. Especially with the point where she was over here talking about, these women have a community. They're all together and all this, a whole bunch of random strange women, but they come together so beautifully. That is basically what you call a friendship. Okay. So those women who don't have friends or women who can't say that they have lifelong friends, I worry about them because I have friends that I've known for 20 something years. If you can't have a successful relationship with another woman, how are you going to have a successful relationship with a man? And then also, not only that, but it's like the sense of community. If you can't have a male friend, if you can't actually have a friend who's a man and just be his friend platonically, explicitly platonically,
have any of you guys
how can you say that you know how to be a friend to a man? Like, okay, for me, I could say I have male friends because I have brothers. I have 7 brothers. So I know what it means to be a friend to a man.
Wait, y'all got the same parents type brothers or at least one parent or just niggas you calling your brother?
No. These are my blood brothers. Like we have the same parents. The only thing is 4 of them have 2 different moms.
Hey, no problem. It's blood.
Yeah, these are my blood brothers. So yeah, like if you can't sustain a relationship like that, how can you sustain any other kind of relationship?
Have you guys ever volunteered at like the Special Olympics? And like I promise, I'm being dead ass serious. It's not funny yet. But like if you go do that, right?
I'm not even going to entertain.
I volunteered at the Special Olympics. That was my internship when I was graduating from college.
So I'm gonna ask you this then. Did you notice that the kids with the same special needs or disabilities, even though they weren't from the same schools or from the same cities, when they were doing like the intermingling, they all isolated themselves based on what their special need was? Did you ever pay attention to that? So one of the things that I thought was funny the first time I saw it, I was like, well, it's like kids in school, different neighborhoods, they different cultures. But what I was saying was like, like the kids with autism, the different types of Asperger's, they would be with like those kids. Then kids with Down syndrome, like they would all be together. And then like the kids who like both had, were missing the limb would be with, and I thought it was cool, right? I thought that was like the most purest form of just like, social separation. Mm-hmm. Until I heard this shit. Like, this is what the fuck I was talking about. I don't know the name for a bitch, they're the passport girls. The only difference between these bitches and the bitches who go to Dubai when they get washed up is they don't want to get shit on. That's the only difference. Nothing about this shit is normal. Nothing about this should be championed. And if my wife is the one interviewing this crazy ass girl, I'm like, baby, you can't do this one. You need to ask your questions, but we not co-sign nothing because now you're co-signing shit that goes counter to what role you play in my life. Like my
Right.
wife can't support no bald-headed hoe shit. My wife can't support no washed up delusional bitch shit either. So you're not gonna be on nobody's panel just because you want to get clicks and views from Melyssa Ford, and then have people looking at me crazy because you interviewed this bitch this way. That's wild.
Right. No, I get that.
Oh, this is interesting. So I agree with to me, the oddity of needing to escape to create community, right? And thinking that you have to isolate yourself with people who have experienced it's trauma bonding. That's exactly
that.
They're trauma bonding, right? And I wholeheartedly agree with Pearl when she said, like, you know, do the work where you at, surround yourself with new types of people, and learn where you made the mistake. I think accountability and saying, because, you know, Marcus said, like, you know, how many have taken accountability if you mess something up in a relationship? I think too many people wait until
it's too late.
Romantic relationships before they start working on themselves, when we all should have friendships. We all should have, well, some of us have siblings. You got parents, aunts, uncles, whatever, right? Friends. If you really ask those people around you, what's wrong with me? Most of them will tell you. And that's the same thing that's wrong with you with that significant other. Your problems didn't just pop up because you decided to be in a relationship significantly. You had those problems in those friendships and they let you slide. And they was like, oh, you know, that's just how she is. Your siblings all done told you your flaws if you got ones, and most Black people know. You know before you go out there in the world what's wrong with you. Because
they don't tell you.
They're going to tell you. Most of your siblings going to tell you. So I think that's really what this issue is for me, is like, what do you need to do in those relationships to get better at being a mother, being a sister, being a whomever, a friend, and apply that then romantically. Most people 100%. Would be like, you don't need to go to Mexico to do that. Like, why do you have to go to Mexico to create a new, like, other than the weather and the dollar? Now, if you're trying to save them coins, you know what I mean, and live a lavish lifestyle, that's a little different. But to create a whole community of single women who have all been through the same trauma, right? And majority of that is self-inflicted because you kept going back to the same trauma bond that you never broke free from because you had a crappy lifestyle and you just never fixed yourself, right? And you never stopped to work on it. I think that will do us as a community any service. Who gonna help the kids? Who gonna be the role model? Y'all gonna keep escaping, and then what?